Hello, it's Dave at Lighter Home, and in this video we're going to talk about the conversion kit and the drop rods for the Fantasia ceiling fans. Now, some models, such as the Capri, which we've got here, and the Mayfair fan are designed to be flush to the ceiling, which basically means their fixing bracket has fixing points that allows it to attach directly to the ceiling. That may be if you have a low ceiling, not a lot of space, but some fans require a bit of a drop if you're fitting them in a room with a high ceiling. And if you're turning a fan like a Capri or a Mayfair from a flush to a drop rod fan, then you need a conversion kit. This changes certain parts actually on the ceiling fan, and in this video what we'll do, we'll open up the conversion kit and we'll show you how you combine that with a drop rod on your ceiling fan so you can drop the fan a little bit. So we'll open up the conversion kit, have a look at the parts, and we'll actually add the drop rod to the fan. Fantasia conversion kits come in a little white box as standard, and if we snip the top open, have a little look at the parts inside. As you would expect, a set of instructions, replacement hanger bracket that will change on the actual ceiling fan, which we'll see in a minute, small pack of bolts and split pins, a cover for the attachment to the ceiling, a boss cover, screws for the ceiling, a ball joint, and an earthen wire. Now this might all sound quite complicated, but it actually isn't as complicated as it seems if we get rid of the box. Now it's important when you use a drop rod to make sure you get the right diameter of drop rod. On a Capri and a Mayfair, which is similar, it's a 22mm drop rod. There are also 27mm drop rods available as well, but usually with a conversion kit you're looking at a 22mm drop rod. So we'll just put that down there for a second. Now the main thing we're doing on the ceiling fan itself is replacing this fixing bracket. That's held into place with 4 screws. So if we undo those screws, we can show you the existing fixing bracket. So take away one. The Capri fan is one of the smaller Fantasia ceiling fans, but the Mayfair, which is bigger, 42-inch, follows the same principle. So if we remove those 2 screws, the other 2 should click out. There we go. So that's the existing fixing bracket. That would normally screw directly to the joist on the ceiling, and that's what allows the fan to fit flush, go straight onto that. But we're not going to use that, we're going to replace that. So if we take that out of the way, inside are all the cables you'd expect. Now we want to replace this actual top portion of the ceiling fan because it's not going to be required anymore, it's going to be replaced by these parts. So this is held into place with 3 fairly large screws that screw it down to the motor housing. So if we just undo those screws, quite simply, get rid of 1 and 2, and 3, like so. There, that comes loose, and we can feed that out past all the cables. Again, we're not going to be using this anymore, we're going to replace it with a different one that will be suitable for the drop rod. So we pop that there. Now there's all the cables as you would expect. The cables will reach past a 30-inch rod. If you're going any longer than a 30-inch rod, then you're going to need to connect them in the middle of the rod. You can do that with a 1-amp connector, that's not a problem. So the first job we need to do is feed these cables through the new drop rod, which is here. So we will take that and we will feed it through as normal. So the key here is to just bunch the cables up, push them through the bottom of the cable. They're fairly stiff. Push them through the bottom of the drop rod and they'll come out the other end, enough for you to be able to pull them through the rod itself, like that. Now there are a couple of little screws here on the actual plate which need to be undone slightly, just a little bit on either of them, like so. There we go, and that will allow the rod to sit in place. Now, there are 2 holes at the bottom of the drop rod, you can see them there, and they marry up with 2 holes on this bracket here. So the first part we're going to need to use is the split pin. That split pin goes through those holes that we mentioned, like so. You do have to push up past the wiring inside, so you have to jiggle it a little bit, but it will go through with a little bit of effort. So it pokes out the other side. Now, in our pack that we mentioned before is the proper split pin. There. It's a little piece like that, which basically fits through the hole on the other end of that bolt. You push it through there, and it holds into place. That bolt can't come out now. So that's the actual rod fitted onto the fan. The next job is to tighten up those screws around the drop rod, which we untightened earlier, like so. And with the pin running through the middle, that will hold the drop rod nice and tightly into place. Now, we have to cover up this area of the fan because there are screws sticking out and things like that. And that is the job of this cover that comes in the conversion kit. So, we bunch up those cables, like so. We're going to feed those cables through the top of this little cover. There. Take it to the top of the drop rod, and that can now be fed nice and gently down the drop rod. With that cover in place at the bottom of the drop rod now, might take a couple of minutes to get there, but with it at the bottom, it's now covering up all those bits and pieces, making it a bit more attractive to look at the fan from the side or below. So now we need to make sure before we do anything, we put the other cover on. Now this is the other cover that comes in the conversion kit, and it's replacing the original unit. It has different fixings on it, which we'll see a little bit later. So again, if we feed those cables through the hole, like so, this allows us to drop that just in place temporarily there at the bottom of the drop rod. So now the next job is to attach the ball joint. This is what's going to attach us to the ceiling. So again, feed the cables through the hole and bring the ball joint to the top of the fan. Now this can be tight, but you'll always get it on. There we go. Now in our pack we have another bolt which is there. That will fit through the 2 holes at the top of the drop rod. Again, there are cables in there, so you find a little route through. There we go. And that will attach, there we go, the ball joint to the top. At this point, we can attach the earthing cable to the unit to make the fan safe. And there is a little screw hole which you might be able to see just there through a groove. So we will attach that into there. There we go. Using a screwdriver, like so. Now this screw has 2 jobs. Not only does it attach the earth cable to the unit, making it safe, when you tighten it up, it also locks that ball joint into place at the top of the fan. So that's the ball joint attached. So we're nearly there now. So the next part to look at is the new fixing bracket. Now that's the part that comes in the conversion kit, and this is replacing the original part. The original fixing bracket would have fit flush to the ceiling like that, screwed into a joist, and the fan would have fitted directly below it, allowing a flush fitting for a room with a small amount of height room. So the new bracket, which came in the conversion kit, has got a hanging bracket on it. It would still screw in with these holes onto a joist. You could use a big strip fastener which comes from Fantasia, an accessory, to have a more stable fitting if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. So we would fix that to the ceiling, and the ball joint itself would hang over that bracket, and there is a groove to lock it into place. So in effect, with that bracket attached to the ceiling, the fan is going to hang off its own gravity into that ball joint. Being a ball joint also means it can be fit to an angle, if I can show you that there. So if you've got a ceiling with a pitched roof, That's perfectly fine. It's designed for that. It will actually angle up to 38 degrees, which can be really handy in things like conservatories and sloping ceilings. So there we go. So with that bracket in place, you can wire up all your connections. Make sure you connect up the earth cable. There we go, the connector block for all your wiring is attached to this new hanging bracket, and this is why we put on the actual cover earlier. Now, if the cables are out of the way, that can be pulled up and locked into place. It clicks in on the hanging bracket. Can be tight. There we go. And that's the attachment cover. So now, all you can see from below is the ball joint. I don't know if you can see that very well. There we go. If you have a remote control, the receiver unit can also fit into there. But that is literally how it would hang. So you've taken a flush fitted ceiling fan and you've added a drop rod to it, and it still looks attractive. You've used all the parts up. You do get fixing brackets as well in the conversion kit for fixing to your ceiling. So yeah, that is how you attach a drop rod to a ceiling fan by Fantasia using a conversion kit. So that's how you use the Fantasia conversion kit and how you convert a flush fitted fan into a drop rod fan. Really only applicable to the Mayfair and Capri ranges that use a 22mm drop rod. Longer drop rods are available as accessories. This is the 12-inch version. There is an 18, a 30, a 48 and even a 72-inch size rod. If you're using a longer than a 30, as we previously mentioned, you'd have to extend the cables, but that's not a difficult job, that's perfectly fine. So that's how you convert the fan, from a flush to a drop. If this video has been helpful and informative, then please like it for us. Thank you.